You took my son's life, your life should be taken. She's not sorry. She's sorry she got caught. That's the only thing she's sorry for.
15-year-old Seth Jackson was beaten, shot, and burned at a Summerfield home Sunday.
I hope they get the electric chair and they burn, and we can all sit and watch them like they did to him.
She's manipulative, she's diabolical. She's the most dangerous 15-year-old I've ever encountered. You have to catch her, and you have to prove that she's lying for her to fall apart and then want to talk to you about it.
Every blow and every bullet that was shot into Seth's body is on her.
It's you that lured him to this horrific death. There'll be people watching this thinking, she must be evil, this girl.
I'm not evil. I'm not.
Breaking news in Marion County this morning where 6 people have been arrested in connection to a murder last weekend. Those 6 are accused of luring 15-year-old Seth Jackson to a home in Summerfield and beating and then shooting him. Police reports say the suspects talked about how much they hated the victim, which led to the alleged murder plot.
In April 2011, 15-year-old Seth Jackson came to this trailer to meet his ex-girlfriend, Amber Wright.
It's a very quiet neighborhood, for the most part.
Detective Rhonda Stroop led the investigation into Seth's brutal murder.
The only thing that was here at the time of the incident was that double-wide trailer and that little shed out back.
At the time, the rundown trailer was used as a hangout for local teenagers. Tell me exactly what happened in that trailer.
This kid gets beat, he gets shot, he runs outside trying to get away from them. They wrestle him back into the house. Can you imagine his thoughts at that time? They wrestle him back in there, they shoot him again, they put him in the bathroom, they try to break his kneecaps so that they can fold him into a sleeping bag. After they did all that to this child, they took him out back and they burnt his body.
I mean, it's an unspeakable litany of horrific detail.
Absolutely.
This is a 15-year-old boy.
Absolutely, it was premeditated.
In relation to Amber, she was only 15, but she did mastermind this, right? I mean, that's your firm belief.
That's my opinion, yes. I just cannot fathom that at 15 years old, that you can be that diabolical and that upset with someone, mad at someone, that you can plan a murder quite in this fashion.
Amber is now 20 and serving a life sentence. She'll likely never be released. I'd been granted 1 hour to interview her. She is one of America's youngest killers, but Amber's always denied being the mastermind behind the murder. Hi, Amber. Good to meet you.
You too.
Come sit down. Amber, when I meet you, I guess I'm expecting from everything I've read to meet some kind of monster. But as is so often the case, I don't see a monster. When you see that headline about you, how do you feel?
Kind of hurts, because I know deep inside, deep down, I'm not a monster. I mean, I made bad mistakes, I made decisions, but the way everything is portrayed, I mean, it's horrible. So I guess I can be placed in that category. But it hurts that people don't know who I am, that that's what they look at me.
You see, Amber, it's extraordinary to me to meet somebody like you who had your whole life ahead of you. And yet you have not just allowed this to happen, you've been a key part of it. It's you that lured him to this horrific death. There'll be people watching this thinking, she must be evil, this girl.
What happened, I've said it for many years, it doesn't define who I am. It was one thing I took a part of, and it was the worst thing that's ever happened in my life. But honestly, that one day, that one very serious, very traumatic, very horrific event changes the person I am. I no longer look at people with hatred and envy and unforgiveness. I don't do that anymore. I'm not evil. I'm not.
Amber's accomplices on the night of the murder included her brother Kyle Hooper, Michael Bargo, who investigators believed was Amber's new boyfriend, and Charlie Ely, who rented the trailer. Seth Jackson was at first reported missing on a local news bulletin, but Amber's brother Kyle was watching at home and told his mother he had witnessed Seth being killed. She called the police, but at this point she had no idea her 2 children had actually taken part in the murder.
Have a seat right there. My name's Rhonda, and you must be Kyle.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me the story that you told your mom and start from the beginning, okay?
Okay. Seth wanted to talk to my sister when they come in the house, and I don't like the kid completely because he has put his hands on my sister. Okay? And I hit him over the head with a stick.
Who'd you hit? Huh?
Seth.
Okay.
And he was in the chair, and I got in the kitchen. I said, now get the fuck out the house. And then all of a sudden I hear bam, bam, bam. Mike sitting there laying bullets into him.
So you saw Mike Bargo shoot Seth?
Yes, ma'am.
Waiting to be interviewed was Amber. In her first version of the night's events, she would claim to have been an innocent bystander.
Do you want to have Mom in here while you talk to me about it? That's okay with you? Okay. Okay, Seth comes to the house.
Seth knocked on the door and Charlie emptied it, and she was like, well, what do you want? And he was like, I just need to talk to Amber. Can I come in? She let him in. He sits in the chair. Me and her are sitting by each other on the couch, and out of nowhere, Kyle just gets up and hits him. I looked at Charlie. I was like, run. We ran to her room, went in her bathroom and shut the door. And we heard another door just fly open, and we just heard gunshot after gunshot after gunshot.
So when did you guys finally come out of the room?
The next morning.
Okay, about what time?
We didn't wake up till maybe 11, 12 o'clock.
Was anything different?
Oh, it just smelled like pure bleach in the house. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Like they tried to clean something up.
Okay. I'll be right back, okay?
Oh, God, you have to let me out of here. I don't feel good. I gotta go home. I'm sick.
Mother's love is unconditional. No matter what your children do, it's unconditional. That's your job. That job doesn't end. It never ends. You know, I brought them in this world. I got to make sure I see them through it.
This was a very brutal and bloody execution of a young boy. When you think back to what went on in that trailer that afternoon, what do you feel?
Honestly, empty. There's a part of me that it's terrifying. It's scary to actually think that something like that happened.
You personally helped prepare the body to put in the bag to be burned and then disposed of.
After he died and I cleaned up, I was no longer partaking in anything. So after that, it's like he disappeared. I didn't know what was going on. Yeah, I knew his body was burnt, but I found out how he was disposed of sitting in an interrogation room.
But you knew that he was going to be burned because you were heard talking about lighting the fire. And you knew once he was burned, they were going to put his remains into these barrels, pots, take him off, and dispose of what was left. You knew that.
Yes, I knew there was going to be a fire. I knew he was going to be burnt. I didn't know they were going to drop him over a cliff.
Amber's claim that she'd just gone to bed and slept through to midday after hearing multiple gunshots didn't ring true to police.
I'm sorry, buddy. Do you mind if I talk to her again? She's manipulative. You have to catch her, and you have to prove that she's lying for her to fall apart and then want to talk to you about it.
Okay, so this right here, and right now, Amber, is where the rubber hits the road, okay? Your brother told me everything.
Okay.
So you can sit there and you can continue to lie, and I'm gonna get up and walk out and treat you like a piece of garbage. Or you can sit here and treat me with the respect that I treated you with, okay? And you can tell me the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
What's your choice gonna be?
True.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning again, and you tell me this story. And the first time that I think you're lying, I'm getting up and walking out of here, and I don't care what happens to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Mike was just saying, well, you should call Seth and all this stuff, and I was like, okay.
And why would he want you to call Seth?
Because he doesn't like him, and he told me he wanted to fight him.
No, that's not what he told you.
Yeah,
I'm telling you right now,
also said-
I'm gonna get up and walk out of here. This is your last chance.
Okay.
I'm not playing with you, little girl. Do you understand me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm done with being lied to today.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start again. We're gonna start fresh.
And me and Charlie stayed in the room.
Where's Seth's body now?
They wouldn't let me see it. They told me, Mike told me that, me and Kyle, that he was gonna take it to the quarry.
Lead detectives tell Wesh 2 News they believe they know where the murder weapon has been hidden, but right now they are not telling us whether it has been
Right now, local
found.
detectives are piecing together the final brutal moments of Seth Jackson's life.
The local teen was beaten, shot, mutilated, burned into ashes, and his remains sunk to the bottom of a local quarry.
Once they had cremated Seth's body, they shoveled up the remains from the fire. They placed his remains into these 5-gallon buckets and walked to the lime pit, where they ultimately end up throwing them over. One bucket, they tossed it over, and it broke open, and some of Seth's remains were discarded along the side of the cliff.
Just 4 miles from the murder scene lived Seth's parents, Sonia and Scott. Seth was the youngest of their 3 boys. And Amber had been a regular visitor to their home.
Hello.
Sonia, Piers, good to see you.
Hi.
Thank you so much for letting us into your home. We greatly appreciate it.
Come on in.
Thank you. Sonia, Scott, let me go right back to the moment when you discovered that Seth had a new girlfriend and her name was Amber.
Just another girlfriend, you know, he had a lot of them. Seemed like he had one every few weeks, you know. We didn't think anything of it, you know, just another girl. He's a good-looking boy.
Amber came around here regularly over a 3-month period.
Yeah.
She had dinner with you guys. What was your impression of her as a young 15-year-old girl?
A typical teenager at first. After a couple of months of her hanging out here, you know, during the day and watching them on the couch together or, you know, in the backyard playing basketball, I started seeing more of a manipulative side to her.
But were you seriously worried, or did she just seem like any other 15-year-old teenage girl, albeit a little bit manipulative, but that's not completely unusual?
They were typical teenagers.
Yeah. It was nothing special about it that would set a person off to thinking anything like that.
When I found out about this story, and having met her and interviewed her, it's just inexplicable to me how somebody like that could then get involved in what she got involved with your son. Have you been able to rationalize it at all.
It's unfathomable for for kids to come up with this stuff and then to carry it all out. It's still today, I think, did this really happen? Well, yeah, of course it did. My son's gone.
Right now, local detectives are piecing together the final brutal moments of Seth Jackson's life.
Investigators say he was lured to the home by former girlfriend, 9th grader Amber Wright, then attacked, shot, and burned.
Seth Jackson's relationship with Amber Wright cost him his life. But in the 6 years since, she has never explained why.
You're 15 and you meet a guy called Seth. What was your first reaction when you met Seth? What kind of guy did you think he was?
He was like, I guess at that time, I thought he was like, oh, he's so cool. Me and him got really close off rip. Like, obviously there was the flirtatious between us and we had that connection. Like, we were young. Everything was fun and games until we really started going hard with each other. And then he was in drugs and I was doing drugs, and then both of us, our real characters came out.
And what kind of drugs were you doing?
We were smoking marijuana and dabbling in cocaine.
Where is your mother in all this? Does she know you're doing this?
She suspects I'm doing it, but of course I lie to her and try to reassure her. No, ma'am, I'm not. You're crazy.
You and Seth, I mean, it seems to have very quickly become quite a serious relationship, but also a very volatile relationship. Why?
I guess because we were just spending too much time together. It was too much alike. And being young, we both were in this competition to make each other mad all the time, make each other jealous all the time. And we were just so involved with everything else and all the people around us. And like, really, our relationship wasn't a relationship. It was young teenagers having sex and doing drugs.
Teenagers do this kind of thing. You know, they drink too much. Some of them take drugs. They have sex when they shouldn't be, with people they shouldn't be having sex with. But it doesn't end in murder. Why did Seth have to die?
I don't know. There was no reason. I don't have a reason. I just went along.
Seth Jackson had been dating Amber Wright, and they had had a bad breakup. And there was a lot of back and forth on social media, name calling, threats being made between the two. And then Amber Wright started dating Michael Bargo. One night, they were all at Charlie Ely's house, and Michael Bargo started talking about, we need to kill Seth Jackson. Nobody likes him, we need to kill him. From that point on, they made a plan. They all agreed that they would kill Seth Jackson. Amber would lure him to Charlie's house, and they would shoot him and torture him. I can't imagine what was going through Seth's mind when he almost escaped. He was in the house, he was shot once, but he got out, and he made it almost to the road when he was shot again and then brought back into the house. He was then put into a bathtub where he was shot. Michael Bargo needed to break his kneecaps because they wanted to fit him into a sleeping bag that they had laid out. So his kneecaps were broken, his teeth were pulled out with pliers. They burned the body, and to me, what made it atrocious is that they sat out there and basically treated it as if a bonfire was a party. All of them sat outside all night long, drinking, talking, laughing while Seth's body was burning. And without Amber Wright's participation in the crime, Seth Jackson never would have come to that house.
What was the moment when you knew that he was dead? How did you find out that awful news?
I knew. I knew something was horribly wrong because Seth would have come home or contacted us or something by now. I don't care if that boy had to stop and use a payphone. He would have called me. He always kept in touch. He would have called me. I knew in my heart, I knew that Seth was gone. I just didn't know where or how.
Scott, how do you assess father? And I have a 15-year-old son. How do you even start to deal with the details of what they did to your boy? Because it's that part of this which I find, as a father myself, so utterly obscene. The complete disregard for him on any human level. How do you deal with that?
I push the feelings down because how I want to deal with it, society says that's a no-no. But I'm pretty good at pushing my feelings down. I haven't went off on nobody in almost 6 years now, so I'm doing pretty damn good. I haven't gotten locked up. I'm doing really good. Dealing with it, that's the only way I can deal with it, because I don't know how. How can you deal with it if something like that happened? I don't know. I can't answer that question to you I just can't. I push them down and that's where they stay. I feel sorry for the SOB that brings them to the surface again. Because I don't know how much longer I can do it. And counseling don't help. Been there, done that. It don't help.
Two days after Seth was killed, all the suspects had been arrested, apart from Michael Bargo, who'd gone on the run. The others were quick to blame him for the murder.
I had to. They knew we were lying.
You pulled in all these kids, you put them into one of the rooms here. In a separate room, you're watching on CCTV.
Correct.
What did you make of Amber's performance interacting with the others?
Exactly, a performance.
You know how many people are gonna fucking hate us for this? People that don't even know us are gonna be looking for us if we get out of this.
Why?
There's a fucking 15-year-old kid murdered because of us. Do you honestly think people want to be around that? Do you think people think there's those kind of people are supposed to be here?
Yeah, but it's not our fault.
Hell, I don't even like them fucking kind of people, and I'm one of them now.
I don't
And I didn't even do anything.
Yeah, I didn't want none of this to happen.
Neither did we. We just got stupid and fell into Mike's trap. Yeah,
Like
that's
always.
exactly.
Like always.
Like always, because he knows he can talk me into anything. He knows he can. How do you tell somebody you love them and you never leave them or hurt them, and then you do this? And then on top of that, you said if you tell anyone, I'm gonna kill you too. This would have never happened if it wasn't for Mike.
Amber's whole strategy, it seems from these tapes, is to blame everybody else. You know, Mike got me into this. He's always controlling me. He's always manipulating me. Look what he's done now. Do you buy any of that as a defense?
No, I don't buy a word of it. I mean, I believe that she's manipulative. I believe she's diabolical. I believe that she really orchestrated a lot of this.
The plan is concocted to kill Seth. Who is the first person to suggest that?
Michael.
And how does he suggest it to you?
He just didn't straight come out and say anything about Seth, but he came out talking crazy. Like, we were all standing there outside, and he just came out and was talking about, you know, he has his gun, and he was talking about how much heat it would take for bones to deteriorate and everything. We were all looking at him like, what are you talking about? And then that's whenever he looks at my brother, and he just starts like saying like he wants Seth dead. And we're all kind of like think he's playing around at first, like, really? Like, you're crazy. And then he looks at me and Charlie and he's like, you're gonna get him here. And I was just like, I was hesitant. I was telling him no. So in the beginning, I was telling him no, like, I'm not doing that, you're crazy. And then it came to he was dead serious, like he was serious, like.
Why did you not try and stop him?
I don't know. I don't know if I even wanted to.
I think she's wicked and evil. What other way can you explain somebody that would set something in motion of this magnitude that would end up with a 15-year-old boy shot, beat, burned, put in 5-gallon buckets and thrown off into a rock quarry? What would you say?
You're all gonna be booked with first-degree premeditated murder. You two will go to the Juvenile Assessment Center. You will go to the Marion County Jail, okay? Take a deep breath. You'll have no bond. You won't be getting out.
Even when you march in and tell them you're being booked first-degree murder.
This is a very serious crime. I don't think it gets much more serious than this.
Amber in particular feels like it's a kind of annoying day, you know, and she might get
Exactly, still thinks she's going home at some point.
Right.
We're all in for murder. He didn't do anything with the body or anything like that. At 5 years, I'm gonna be fucking 20 by the time I get out.
She doesn't seem to realize the enormity of what has happened here.
Exactly. I don't think the magnitude hit her until much later.
Love
Be
you.
easy, all right?
The young brother and sister accused of killing an Ocala teen have been indicted as adults. 15-year-old Amber Wright and 16-year-old Kyle Hooper are charged with the murder of Wright's ex-boyfriend, 15-year-old Seth Jackson.
We made the decision to try them as adults based on the heinous nature of how he was tortured and burned and the fact that they were involved in the planning of the murder from the beginning. And that's one of the reasons why we did not make any plea offers. From the beginning, we said, these people either deserve the death penalty or life in prison, and we won't make any plea deals because of the facts of this case and how horrible it was, and we didn't.
Amber was too young to face the death penalty, but Michael Bargo was eligible if found guilty. Detectives tracked him down, hiding out 80 miles away at a friend's house.
Have a seat in that green chair right over here by the wall, baby. Which one? This one or that one? That one right there.
I think you know why I'm here to talk to you.
You call my lawyer.
You just said that you want to talk to a lawyer. Did you want I talk to a lawyer, or do you want to talk to me? I want to clarify that first.
I'll talk to a lawyer.
Okay. He had nothing to say. He appeared to have this cold heart, as if he had just crumbled up a piece of paper and thrown it in the trash can with no feelings at all.
What the hell's going on?
I think you clearly know I can't talk to you about anything. You've already requested your attorney. You lost that opportunity to talk to me.
Trying to understand why Seth was killed seems to come down to this question. Is Amber Wright a cold, calculating murderer who manipulated Michael Bargo and the others into killing Seth? Or was she caught in the romantic thrall of a volatile and controlling new boyfriend?
18-year-old Michael Bargo stood before a Marion County judge today. Investigators say he is the alleged shooter and mastermind behind the murder plot.
Mr. Bargo, you're charged with first-degree murder. This is a capital offense.
Were you in love with Michael?
Now, I can tell you I wasn't in love with Michael. I was under his control. I let him control me. It wasn't love.
Did you think that if you got rid of Seth, you and Michael could have a relationship without that huge problem all the time in the background?
No. No.
Michael Bargo has always denied that he and Amber were anything more than just good friends.
You were sleeping with Amber and dating her at the time.
No, I wasn't.
You do have her initials tattooed right in your groin area.
Overruled.
I have it on my thigh, I do.
Do you tattoo a lot of girls' names that you're friends with all over your thighs?
No.
How about this? She has your initials tattooed on her private area too, doesn't she?
Not in a private area. Explore belt line, but yeah.
Okay. Well, look, some people may say that's your private area. You don't. That's fine. Right here.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you do that yourself?
I did.
Okay. So you tattooed your initials right here on Amber Wright.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But you weren't in love with her or sleeping with her.
No.
In fact, isn't it true that Seth broke up with Amber because Seth found out that you two had slept together?
Not to my understanding.
You and Michael had matching tattoos.
Yeah.
What is the tattoo?
His initials.
Why, if he didn't really mean anything to you, why would you have a tattoo with his initials on you?
Just because I thought it was cool. Make him happy. Felt good being wanted.
There seems to be some doubt as to whether you and Mike had a sexual relationship. What's the truth?
Me and Michael did not have a relationship. Yes, we did have sex a couple times. And I think that was more on my part, trying to aggravate and hurt Seth.
So you were deliberately having sex with a guy that you knew he hated just to aggravate him?
I mean, yeah. Wasn't really me trying to inflame anything, but I was trying to hurt him. I was hurt. I was trying to hurt him.
You know, you say you weren't trying to inflame anything, but that's exactly what you were doing.
Yeah.
I mean, you were deliberately trying to inflame him in the worst possible way. You were having sex with a guy you knew he hated. How can it get much more inflammatory than that?
Guess it doesn't.
They broke up, so Seth and Amber stopped seeing each other. Did that have a big effect on Seth? Did you notice that he was particularly devastated by this?
Yeah, he was. He did a lot of crying.
Yeah, he was.
And a lot of consoling him, talking to him, it'll get better, and, just how you do your kids, because you don't want to see him hurting. And after a while, he started getting past it.
I kept telling him, just leave it alone. There's a lot of other girls out there. You've already had a few girlfriends. You're young. This isn't your first. It isn't your last. You got to move on. He really did care for Amber.
I mean, one of the reasons that he may have been so upset was that she was deliberately enraging him via her relationship with this guy, Mike Bargo, who she now admits she was having sex with. And she was quite open and said she was doing that to goad and agitate your son.
That just confirms my feelings of her being manipulative. And yes, it makes me angry.
How do you feel about it, Scott?
I want to kill the bitch. No, I wanna, let's put this in a good way. I want to torture the bitch. All of them. And wouldn't lose a bit of sleep over it. And it would take a long time. I know that ain't gonna bring my boy back, but it's damn sure gonna feel good while I'm doing it.
Kyle Hooper kept his head down as the assistant ME talked about Seth Jackson's burned body parts.
At the trial, Kyle Hooper did have some remorse. Amber Wright, I've never seen from her any remorse. She's a cold, manipulative, calculating person.
What kind of person were you?
I was the person that didn't care about anything but having fun. I was a selfish person. I was very manipulative, and I got what I wanted.
And what she wanted was Seth dead. And there was one crucial piece of evidence that proved it. A mobile phone with the text she had sent that lured him to his death.
Amber Wright was the one that Seth was sweet on. He wanted to get back with her in spite of all the bad feeling that had gone between them in the previous months.
The only reason that Seth Jackson went to that home is because of her. Seth would have never gone to that house if Michael Bargo called him. So every blow that Seth Jackson endured during that beating, and every bullet that was shot into Seth's body, is on her.
So Amber, I want to read you some of the messages that you exchanged with Seth, text messages. You have now decided with the group that you personally are going to lure Seth over and he's going to get killed. And you say to him, I want you to come over, I want to talk to you. He replies to you, Amber, if you have me jumped, I will never give you the time of day. So if I get jumped, say goodbye, all right? You reply, I swear you're not Seth. I could never do that to you. I just want me and you back.
Manipulated him.
You didn't want him back, did you? That wasn't why you were calling him over.
No.
You wanted him to come over because you knew that he was going to die.
Yeah.
When you hear the words of those text messages now, what do you feel about yourself that you were a person capable of doing that?
It makes me disgusted with myself. It makes me wonder, what was I really doing? Like, type of person am I really?
If you were somebody else who didn't know you, who knew what happened and read these messages that you sent him to lure him to his death, this guy you were in love with, that you've been having sex with, partying with, what would you think of the person that did this?
That she was manipulative, deceitful, and a monster.
It's a hard word, isn't it, to say about yourself?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, this is monstrous behavior. It doesn't matter what age you are. You're a 15-year-old girl, but you are deliberately luring this boy to his death. And it's chilling to read.
Yeah.
Amber Wright is facing 25 years to life in prison. Wright helped beat, shoot, and burn the body of Seth Jackson back in 2011.
4 others are serving life. The shooter, 23-year-old Michael Bargo, was sentenced to death.
You go to trial, and I've seen the video of the moment that you are convicted.
Now the clerk, will you publish the verdict? The defendant will rise.
You know that's it. You're going to go to prison for a very long time.
The defendant is guilty of murder in the first degree. So say we all, dated this 14th
And your head sinks.
January 2016, signed Forfeiting.
What is going through your mind in that moment?
I deserve this.
You deserved it.
Yeah.
Has it really sunk home to you what this punishment actually means?
Yeah, it has. And if we want to speak about the truth, I've contemplated suicide. I have. I've told my mom several times, I won't make it that long. I won't. It's sunk in, I'm here. I'm here for life. I'm not going anywhere. I can't change that. Can't take that back. I can't make them change my life sentence. Just like his mom said, an eye for an eye, life for a life, right?
4 other co-defendants are serving life sentences. Wright's mother, Tracy, was in tears after the verdict.
In that one instance, Tracy, she lost both her children to the justice system. But I'm sure that there are times that she thought to herself, as I would as a mother, I should have paid more attention. I should have known what was going on. My kids shouldn't have been there.
They were just everyday teenagers, you know. I knew all their friends, I knew their parents. You can't keep them chained up to the house, you know? They just were so familiar with the neighborhood because I grew up in that neighborhood, they grew up in the neighborhood. So everybody in the entire neighborhood knew the kids, so it was safe for them. I worked a lot, and they were good kids. They really were. Just took one bad thing to come into their life, you know, to make them change. As I say, evil walked into their life. Sonia Jackson and I have both lost, so we are two grieving mothers. She lost one child and I lost two.
For me, I just kind of take it day by day. I'm angry about each and every one of them and what they did. I battle with this all the time because for me, as a mom, I feel for those kids because they are kids. I have emotions that feel sorry for them. But when I set my mom feelings aside, yeah, I'm pissed. It hurts. It's hard to talk about because, you know, you want to scream at the world.
I pray for her all the time. If I'm thinking I'm having a bad day, I always revert back to her. You know, her son is the victim in this, and her loss is much greater than mine.
I've often thought, you know, what if the shoe was on the other foot? What if we were the parents that was now going to visit our child in prison because he had done something so horrible? How would we feel? So I've always tried to sympathize.
But in that same sense, they can't go visit their kids. We'll never hear that shit again.
I know. Believe me, I think about it every day.
I know, I do too. She's not sorry. She's sorry she got caught. That's the only thing she's sorry for.
Do you feel that people can change?
I've only been locked up for 5.5 years, but it's my third prison I've been at. I've been with several older women that have been down 28, 30 years. These women are amazing. People change. People do better. People accept what they've done. And they make it a point to change, and to love, and to grow, and to make something of themselves, whether it's in here. For myself, I've accepted my part, my life, my torment. I've accepted that because I cannot change that.
Is that because you realize that actually, if you hadn't lured Seth over that day, he'd still be alive?
He would have still been alive after that night, yeah. If I wouldn't have been the bait.
At the time, you wanted to blame everybody else, led by Michael. Have you had any contact with Michael?
No.
Since? Would you like to?
I don't know. I've had thoughts about it, trying to write him a letter and reach out, but I don't think I could. I couldn't look at him, I couldn't talk to him.
Why?
Because for so long I blamed him for the person who I, in the beginning, said ruined my life. I don't think I could look at any of my co-defendants.
Amber, thank you.
Thank you.
There's no doubt that she appears now to understand the enormity of what she did. She appeared to be contrite. Is there anything that she could say to you that would make any difference?
To him, I could say no. I know that's his answer.
Not a damn thing. She could die. That make me feel that much better.
What about you, Sonia?
To me, no. It doesn't matter what she says to me. It's not going to make me feel any better. It's not going to bring my son back. Maybe someday I could forgive her. not today.